Hi there, warriors, and welcome to a new stream of the Uruguayan Heroes YouTube channel. And today we will look forward to the games that await us this week. Two huge games, one against Argentina and one against Bolivia. And well, certainly the one at home first against Argentina is one where we should recover our pride. Um, After two huge defeats, one against Argentina, one against Brazil, time to set things right. And we can all talk about the manager situation, but first of all, we have to perform on the pitch and keep away from this discussion because whatever the situation is, Tabares will stay, and we have to focus on the games. And the games are tough ones. Argentina at this moment are better organized, playing better football, having a better manager than Uruguay have. And it was quite obvious when we faced them in last month. So now it's time to recover and put up a performance. And the thing is that which is really hurting us right now is that Uruguay at this moment in time have a lot of injuries. That's the fact. Um, so Cavani dropped out, Darwin Nunez dropped out, two of our best strikers. We can go to the midfield, Federico Valverde, who in my opinion is the best Uruguayan football player in the world at this moment. And then you have Giorgio Arrascaeta, Nicolas de la Cruz, two really important players when you look for creative players, somebody or some players who have this extra thing, extra quality on the ball. So these are players we will miss. And then Sebastian Coates, although he would probably not have played, for me he has been in amazing form for Sporting in the last 18 months, so it's a big miss. So these are just a few players which we will miss, and hopefully it will not be defining, but it could be because these are just players who are important for us. But so let's just move on and let's look at the game against Argentina. Argentina might miss Messi, which is a big plus for Uruguay. But for me, I never like this way of looking at games, looking at the players a team might miss. I always like to look at how we can line up, how we can hurt the opponent. Unfortunately, the situation is that Tabres and Uruguay don't watch the games like this. Tavares always approaches the game. How can we limit the opponent? How can we limit the threats of the opponent? And how can we nullify this and then maybe get something on the break and react? So always really passive game plan, not proactive. And I think this team has to be more proactive to win games, and certainly games where you play against opponents who are at the same level. So in Argentina, although they are in a better form and are a better moment, if you go like for like, player for player, I don't think there's a lot of difference between Argentina and Uruguay. Um, and then the next game in La Paz in Bolivia is a completely different game. Obviously, we all know the difficulty of playing in the height of La Paz. Uruguay have struggled a lot in the past, but the last game in La Paz was in 2015, I think, and Uruguay won for the first time in history. It was a big game, an important game, and hopefully we can do something similar. But it will be difficult. So let's look who is already here. Mustafa Piri, Aldin Zanovic. Hi there, mate. Good to see you. So Aldin is a person I know really well from just personal life. So and he's dropping by. Good to see you. Matias Gonzalez says we have a strong complex against Argentina and Brazil. Yeah, that's true. Not only these last two games, but when you look during the complete and the whole tenure, the whole reign of Tabares since he took over in 2006, we have never beaten Brazil, and we have only beaten Argentina, I think, twice, and one was on penalties. So this just explains a lot, and obviously these are games that are historically difficult, but throughout history, Uruguay have been able to get big results over Brazil and over Argentina, while not always having the better squad, or most of the times not having the better squad. And you can really say in the last 8 years, last 10 years, Uruguay have had a much better squad in compared to many teams in history. While back then Uruguay managed to beat them or get results, and now at this moment, Uruguay don't ever well really been able to beat them or to be impressive against them. When we picked up a draw, it's always been lucky or sometimes a really good performance, fighting performance, but not the way you want to see it. You want to see some. You want to see them play and go head to head with these teams, because when Uruguay is coached properly, then I think we can bring a challenge, more of a challenge that we have brought in these last few years. So yeah, um, let's move on to something else I want to talk about. It's about the comments of Tabares and the players. So the players came out. They arrived today and yesterday in Uruguay, and they are starting to train, beginning to train. Um, and at this moment, it's clear everybody is backing Tabares, and I was expecting this because you have to remember the likes of Godin, Suarez, Cavani, Jimenez. For all their national team career, Tabares has been a manager, and they consider him as like a father figure in football. So obviously, they're not gonna criticize him. I don't expect them to do this, because I wouldn't like him to do this, because it shows a lack of loyalty if they start and do this. And it's also not their job, their role. They are players. They have to get the best performances in the Uruguay shirt, and this is their responsibility. So it's not their responsibility to evaluate the manager or be criticizing the manager. This is the job of the Uruguayan Football Association, and they are not able to do this job because, well, they're a bunch of bottle jobs, to be honest. Most of them, at least. Most of directives, the president Ignacio Alonso, they are not qualified to do their jobs, and we have seen this for a long time now. They get paid really good money, but every time they have to make a decision, a big decision, they get it wrong. They get it wrong, and I'm not surprised by this. So this is the way it is. You have three separate departments when you look at the Uruguay national team, or four maybe. You have the board, the football association. You have the manager and the coaching staff. You have the players and the fans. This is the four different departments when you look at the football team, whether it be national team or club team. And these four departments, in the ideal world, they are in good harmony. They are working, or not working together, but they listen to each other, and it's a good working relationship, to say like this. For Uruguay, it's not the case, and also for Uruguay, one party does not hold the other party responsible if something is going wrong. So if Tabares is not doing his job right, which in my opinion is pretty obvious when you look at the last 6 7 years, the department above him, which is the football association, should be criticizing him or having conversations with him, evaluating what is going wrong, what should be done, what should be done better, and then you can either say, okay, we're gonna try this, we're gonna try different, or you say, well, it's been a good run, but this is where it ends. We don't think you are the right man. But these people on the Uruguayan Football Association, they are not capable, or they don't have the weight, the authority to evaluate matters on a footballing perspective, because these are like just directives. They have no background in football. They're not people who are qualified to judge on this. So for them, they are not, they will never do this, which is why it frustrates me even more, because we can all see it. And this is the thing: the department who will always give you their opinion, and their honest opinion, is the fans. The fans, because the fans, they don't think about money. They don't think about what is best for them. Yeah, they do think about what's best for them, but this is the football team playing playing good football or getting results. This is what there is their only focus. But for the board, the football association, they know that they are in a position where they earn a lot of money. This is the case because they do earn good money, and they know that sacking Tabares is a hard decision for them because of the um, emotional connection with Tabares, and they are not qualified, and they don't dare to do this. So they are bottle jobs, I would say. So the association does not do this. The association will not change Tabares. Tavares cannot change himself. Obviously, he can resign, but I mean, I wouldn't do this either. He's one of the best paid managers in South American football, so he will not do this. And the players cannot sack Tavares. The players have been there for their whole career with Tavares, and they, like I said, consider him like a father figure. So they will never do something like this. So then you basically got fans who are not happy, and I think 80% of fans of Uruguay do believe it's not okay like this. The change should be done. Obviously, the 10 to 20%, they are just in love with Tabares. They would, I mean, they would make him lunch. They would make him even dinner and everything. They are just, he cannot do anything wrong in their eyes. This is how they view it. I don't understand this, but okay, this is their view, and we have to respect everybody's opinion. But there are just a certain section who do not criticize Tabares whatever happens. But the majority of the fans do believe there should be change. But these fans, the board, the Uruguayan Football Association, do not even consider their opinions as something that they want to take seriously, which I believe is really wrong. But this is the way it is. So then you got a board who does not listen to the fans, who are not able or not willing to sack Tabares because of the emotional connection. Tabares will not sack himself, and the players will never criticize Tabares for what he has been for all these years. So this is like a status quo. Nothing will change. The only thing that will change is when Tabares does not qualify for the World Cup. Then okay, then it's maybe a step too far. You cannot keep this going on and on and on. Then the end of the line will be there. But this is the situation like it is, and this is why I don't see, even if we do get two defeats against Bolivia and Argentina, things will change, which is really frustrating. But it's the way it is. Yeah, let's look at some comments because I see a lot of people commenting, and thanks for everybody being in the stream. Really appreciate it. If you do not already subscribe to the channel, you can subscribe, and in the coming 2 weeks, I will be going live and posting videos a lot because Uruguay are playing, and it's the most wonderful time of the month. And if you can like the video, please like the video because it helps to have the visibility on YouTube for other fans to see the video. And so, yeah, thanks a lot for being here. Um, Leonardo Chavez says, in my opinion, players shouldn't even talk about Tabares. It isn't their role. No, it's true. And like I said, I don't want them to criticize Tabares because, like you say, it's not their role. Their responsibility is playing football and doing their best. Which, to be honest, we can always complain about Tabares, but the players have to look at the mirror as well because some of them have just not been up to it. Tuti Mania says Tabares is dictatorship. Well, yeah. It's not nice. It's not nice. Then Leonardo Chavez with another comment says, if they want to back him up, it's okay. But journalists can't expect that they are going to talk shit about the manager. The decision is on the AUF, but as always, they don't have what is needed for that role. No, it's true. It's true. But you were talking about a journalist, and I mean, there were some journalists who were criticizing Tabares after the two defeats against Brazil and Argentina. So yeah, this happened. But for the most of the time, the majority of the last years, not any journalist, or not many at least, maybe two or three have been critical, but most of the journalists, they have never been critical of Tabares because they want to protect their relationship with him and with the Uruguayan Football Association, because this helps them to get exclusive information, which helps them to sell papers or to get clicks on their website. But for me, this is not journalism. This is just this is commercialism. Commercial. I don't know how to say it, but it's selling your soul for money and not doing your job, which journalists should be doing, is being objective and speaking the truth. And they've not been doing this. This is a big problem because if you have journalists in the country of Uruguay who honestly say and report on what they see and what we all see, then the criticism of Tabares would be more and it would be more accepted. And these problems which have been coming to the light right now because of the two results would have come a lot earlier, because we can all look at these two results which were disgraceful, but these two results are just two more results of 6 or 7 years of failure. We've been over this before. 4 Copa America exits in the quarterfinal 3 times and 1 time in the group stages. Failure. The failure to progress our team and play football, which is basically more suited to their style of play. We are still a team that sometimes just don't know how to play. That don't know how to play, and are so passive. And for me, there's so little progression in the style of play, and these are a lot of failures, which I believe it's just not acceptable in my opinion. Mustafa Piri says surely Tabares has to go when he fails to qualify. Well, I think he will go anyway after the World Cup. This is always what he has been saying or what has been talked about in the media. So in any case, he will probably go after the Qatar World Cup, whether he qualifies or not. So yeah. Um, Changing managers would have been an auto loss for the game against Argentina. I think the timing is what's bad. Well, I agree with you, Migusta Gaming. I agree with you that the timing has been really bad, but I do not agree with you that changing managers would have been an auto loss because to be completely honest, if you talk to me and if we talk about the games against Argentina and against Brazil, what type of game plan, type of patterns, type of managerial influence on the team did you see in these games? I saw Bentancur playing on the right midfield. You know, I saw Bentancur playing right midfield, which he's not. He's not a right midfielder. Simple as. I did not see a team. I did not see a performance with anything that I can see and think. Well, that's good. They've been working on it in the 25th for this. You see a pattern here. You see a type of player. There were no style of play, no identity. So when a new manager comes in, it's not like the bar has been here. The bar has been really low. So a new manager comes in. I don't think it would have been a shock to the system in the sense that um, they are completely changing the style of play because there's not been a style of play for a long time. But I do agree with you that the timing is bad. So yeah, that's just the way it is. Matias Gonzalez says Tabra should have resigned from the senior Uruguay team since 2018 World Cup. I agree. I agree. Tabares is a guy that can't accept criticism. Look at the prior interviews. Tabares is a guy I respect, but he is narcissistic person and sadly losing all Uruguayan respect. Tutamania says this. Well, and this is a discussion which it's not nice, and because we all respect Tabares, like you say, Tutumania, you respect Tabares as well, what he has done, and we all do. And but the second part of your comment is also true, because when you look at the comments of Tabares in the last 3 or 4 years, he's not respecting the fans. He's not. He's not. The way he's speaking to the media whenever he's criticized, he cannot take 1 ounce of criticism, and he always has this bit of these comments, sly dicks at journalists or at fans that he knows best, and he's the one that only knows it, and whenever somebody challenges him, well, they're basically not fit enough to get into an argument with him. So I don't like this as well. Yeah, I do agree. And Tutomania says again, do you think we will qualify for the World Cup? What place will we end up? Well, I believe we qualify. Purely because I don't think Chile, Paraguay, and Peru are good enough to qualify. I don't think we are. Well, we will qualify, I think, as the fourth place, and maybe the fifth place, which would mean we go into playoffs, which I won't like. Would not like this. Um, but I think we will qualify. Yeah, but it's beside the point for me. We will qualify, and obviously, this is what it's all about. Uruguay have to qualify for World Cup, obviously. But the thing is that the way we are going to qualify resembles or demonstrates a thing which is the most worrying thing, which is that we are not at the level that we should be, and we will not go to the World Cup in this at the mo at the in the way we are playing right now. We will not go to the World Cup challenging. We will not go to the World Cup being a menace or being a competitor to go far in the tournament. And this is for me, which is really bothering me. Migusta Gaming says, "What about the first 30 minutes against Colombia? Isn't that our style? Gegenpress and punish." Well, I like this performance, to be honest. These first 30 minutes against Colombia. So I'm not gonna take all blame to Tabares and give him no credit. So obviously, when we play a first half or a first 30 minutes against Colombia like this, I have to compliment him for this. And it was a good performance. It was basically Uruguay getting stuck in keeping pressing on the half of Colombia, uh, trying to play fast-paced football, and whenever the ball was lost, everybody was on the ball. Players were moving like mad from side to side to keep Colombia pinned in their own half. And to be honest, we should have scored in this first half. So that was a good performance, obviously, absolutely. Um, but you also have to realize we're talking about 30 minutes of football in probably 6 games because we went away to Peru. We drew. We didn't play good football. We were really passive. We kind of went for the draw in the end. Was not good. Then we played against Bolivia. Okay, we won 4-2. Brilliant. But it was Bolivia. With all respect, at home against Bolivia, we scored 4. We also conceded 2. I would not say it was an exceptional performance or a really good performance. It was an okay performance, and we got the points, which is where it's all about. Then against Ecuador at home, we won the game thanks to Castro Pereiro in the last minute, but it was not a good game. There were two sides that were afraid to lose, basically. So I didn't think we played really bad, but we certainly did not have a great performance. Then we went to Colombia. Colombia first half an hour, we played well, and I think we should have won. So it was unlucky. And then we go to the game against Argentina and Brazil. Well, we all know this story. It was not good enough. So overall, it's not been good enough. Um, Lisa Smith says, is it strange that Tabas does not seem to be grooming a replacement, or is that not his role?" Yeah, I understand what you're saying because obviously he has a lot of influence in the Uruguayan Football Association. He is more than just a manager, and this is also why for some people really hard to see him leave. But for me, I always look at what he's doing for the national team as a manager because this is his main job. But you were saying it's weird or it's strange that he's not looking at the replacement. Maybe he is looking. I don't know. Maybe he is looking at a replacement for him. Um, and maybe this could be a good thing. But to be honest, um, I think he probably will advise Fabian Coito. So I would not like this, to be honest, but we will see. Um, Migusta Gaming says the thing I'm unhappy with is the play response. Everyone except Tabres over Suarez dropped his arms. So you're talking about the Brazil game, I think. Yeah, it was not good reaction. So the image was, which a lot of people were talking about, when they were drinking water in between the action, and Tabres was talking, and every player just looked disengaged. Looked really no expression, like they did not care. This is also concerning me. Um, so and Suarez scored the goal, obviously, but Suarez also was not at it this game. Although he was really good against Argentina and Colombia, should have scored, but overall his game was good. Hopefully we see a better response now because they have to show response. I mean, Uruguay want to go to the World Cup, and these players, um, they have to make it happen. Whatever we can talk about Tabres all we want, but it's the players eventually that have to make this happen. Mustafa Piri says, "Give us your score predictions." I mean, I will retweet the tweet that we are live, but I'm thinking about the score predictions. Hard one, really hard one. I think at home against Argentina, I think we are capable of getting a result, but I don't think we will win against Argentina. I think it will be a draw. I think it will be probably 1-1. And in Bolivia away, I mean, to be fair to Bolivia, in the last few games at home, they've really blasted teams away. So it's gonna be really hard. And I'm not really confident as well. So I think another draw would be the case, which means 2 points out of the last. No, 3 points out of the last 5 games. So out of the last 15 possible points, 3 points out of the last 15 possible points, which is not good, basically. So then you have 4 games left, which is against Paraguay. And the last game is against Chile, one against Paraguay at away, I think. And I'm gonna look up because I'm not on the top of my head. I don't know it, but 4 games against probably you can say that they are direct rivals, most of them at least. So let me have a look. Uruguay. Okay, we're looking here. Paraguay away, Venezuela at home, Peru at home, and Chile away. So these are 4 games that are just must-win games, basically. Will we win every game? No, we won't. But we should really get a lot of points because if we are not doing this, then the dream might be over to go to the World Cup. A dream which Tabares called the last dance. And I don't really like this, to be honest. Yeah, just get qualifying. I mean, The Last Dance, all nice and well to refer to the Michael Jordan movie, but we are far away from a team of this magnitude at this moment. Um, so yeah, I wanted to pick up some comments from the players and Tavares this morning and also yesterday. Um, Tavares was obviously he was talking about the criticism he received the last month in the whole, and I want to talk about this a little bit. So he was saying this was what really basically took my interest. He was asked if he feels that he is under a microscope of criticism after what happened last month, and he says, internally, I question myself long before anyone does from the outside. I think I have self-criticism. So yeah, I don't think this is the case, but okay, this is a comment he made. Then he also said, um, "We have 6 games left, and we have been dedicating ourselves to that since the game versus Brazil ended." So yeah, basically, comment without no meaning, but okay. Then Jimenez arrived in Uruguay. He says, "I'm more and more convinced that football has no memory. That is more than clear." Yeah, I mean, like I said, I want players to defend their team, their players, their manager. That's all good with me. But to say that this kind of thing, he talks about it like Uruguay are a team who are now struggling to qualify, but they did win the last Copa America. This is the way he's talking because sometimes this happens. For example, Roberto Di Matteo, he won the Champions League as an interim manager for Chelsea. And I remember this really well because back then I'm a big fan of DJ Drogba. I was, at least, because he's not playing anymore. So I was really excited for him to lift this Champions League. So they won the Champions League, and then a few months later he was sacked. And this is Chelsea, basically. Chelsea as a football club, we all know it. They are driven to be successful, and they have no boundaries to reach it. But he was sacked. So if something like this happened, that a manager or a player wins a World Cup, a Champions League, or whatever, have something big that he achieves, and then a few months later he's written off, that he is a nobody. I understand this. I understand that people will be saying football has no memory. But at this moment, football has no memory. This comment, it does not apply to Uruguay and the criticism Tabas receives, because Uruguay for 10 years have not won a trophy now. And in this time, there have been 4 Copa Americas. Um, we are struggling to qualify for the World Cup, although we have the third best squad in the South American national team football. So there are a lot of reasons why there is criticism, and this is not a um, lack of respect or a lack of acknowledgement of what he has done in the past. So the comment of that football has no memory, I think it's really, it's weird. Basically, it's I don't agree with it. And then Tabar or Suarez says we have to try to reverse this situation, giving our full support to El Maestro and his coaching staff for everything they have given us in the national team. Now it's no longer useful to talk, but to show that support on the pitch. And the last sentence I agree with, because it's all nice and well, and Godin did it as well. Godin came out yesterday and talked about his support for Tavares, and it's unconditional. It will never change whenever he's for whatever time he's at the national team, and it's all well. But Suarez is right. It's not useful to talk right now. Players, when they have failed or they have done something bad, or not bad I mean, it's football at the end of the day, so you can have a bad performance. You are not a bad person then, but when they have had a bad performance or they have a bad period, um, I sometimes don't like it when players come out and say, "Oh, sorry to the fans, we have let you down. We will go again. I will try hard. I will train hard." I think by myself, just shut up. I mean, you have just show it. Don't give these excuses, and certainly not when it happens more often. When it's like this week they come out with an apology for something, and then a few month later, after another big defeat, it's the same. I think the fans don't want to hear this, and I obviously know that a lot of these players have PR teams. They write their tweets or write their Instagram posts, so do not control themselves. But it really irritates me because it's talking is. I mean, there comes a time where talking and saying that you're sorry, saying that you want to do better, it doesn't mean a lot. It doesn't mean, it means nothing. Your words are empty. You have to show it on a pitch and prove to the fans that you are really improving. You are really getting yourself together and well, fighting for the jersey and getting results and getting us to the World Cup basically. So hopefully we can see this. Danny F says we are screwed. We were in a similar position in 2013. Yeah, we were. So you're talking about the Brazil qualifiers. So I remember reading this article in the Guardian with Lugano. He was talking to, I think, an Argentinian journalist, and they were basically, there was a point in this qualification process that they were out. They were okay. Mathematically, they could still qualify, but how things are, how things were looking, they were out. They lost 4-0 away to Colombia, and they had a lot more bad results. And then little by little, they started to gain some confidence. Uruguay got this really big result away in Venezuela. I think Cavani scored. In the end, Uruguay qualified via the playoffs. So Uruguay have been, and we all know this, have been used to doing it the hard way. It was in 2010. Uruguay qualified as the last team in for the World Cup, so the 32nd team. And 2014 playoffs. 2018 was an exception, finished second. And now it seems once again that it's gonna be a hard one, and probably until the last day that we have to get our calculators out and and um, and well, be nervous and be excited, or not excited, but wait to the last minute if we're gonna qualify. And I believe we will still qualify, but it could be a lot more comfortable in my opinion. Abimanyu Fijai says, who's worse, Tabares or Ole? I don't like this, man. I mean, Tabares, I criticize him now, but Tabares has had an amazing career in management. I mean, he's won the Copa Libertadores. He is coached in Europe for big clubs, and he's done amazingly for Uruguay in the first 5 or 6 years. And what he's done with the youth setup, revolutionizing the way, well, Uruguay basically were perceived in world football. I can have nothing but praise for him. So I know your question is a little bit of a joke, but I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he should not even been having coaching badges. I mean, honestly, I'm sorry if you're not, if you are a United fan now, I would be really sad, really sad. Mustafa Piri says, "Oh, the Chile game gonna be fire. It's gonna rain red cards for sure." Well, that game is gonna be. I mean, we can fantasize about it because this game possibly could be the decisive game if Uruguay qualify or not, and maybe for Chile as well. Because Chile, I think they are sixth. They are a few points behind us, and they can still qualify. And they have been getting a little bit better in the last few games, so they can be there. So imagine Uruguay against Chile and Santiago, with the World Cup qualifying spot in on the line. It's gonna be a stressful game, and we have to remember Martin Lazarte, Uruguay manager, managing Chile. So maybe you can help us out a little bit in this game. But if this happens, I mean, for the game itself, I cannot handle it. This pressure, the nervousness. But if it happens, and it's gonna be so tense. Honestly, probably with Santiago, with the national stadium in Santiago being, well, I think a lot of, not full capacity, but it's getting more and more. You know, in Europe, obviously, a lot of teams, a lot of leagues have full capacity, but in South America, it's getting more and more. Um, so that game could be really special. Yeah. Um, Migusta Gaming says, if we are old and tired, Chile is ancient. We can't lose to them. I mean, obviously Uruguay have a lot of much better squad than Uruguay. Uruguay have a much better squad than Chile. But yeah, away in Santiago, um, uh, it's gonna be hard. Gonna be really hard. Yeah. So yeah, the next point I wanted to discuss, and I want to ask your opinion as well, is the lineup. So Uruguay will play Argentina against Friday, and there are a few names I don't want to see in the lineup. And having said this, will they be in the lineup? Yes, they will be. Obviously, I know Tabares. I know how these things are going, but I don't want to see them. And the first one is Matias Vecino. I think completely underperforming in the last games for Uruguay. He's been not good enough. And looking besides Uruguay, he has not started the game for Inter between the two international breaks. He has had a few substitute appearances, but he's not had a lot of minutes. And it's all well and good to being loyal to players who have served you well in the past, but you also have to look at the present moment of the player in their team and in the national team. And at this moment, the situation or the current moment of Ficino is not good enough to be a starter for Uruguay. And then we have to look at the alternatives, because it's good to say Ficino is not good enough, but who are you going to play then? And I've got two names who, well, you probably will know as well, and it's Mauro Arambari and Lucas Torreira. They are starters for their teams, Getafe for Mauro Arambari and Lucas Torreira at Fiorentina. And they are more suited to the role that Ficino is playing in right now. So Ficino mostly plays when Bentancur and Valverde are the midfielders, like the 6 and the 8, or a little bit between this, because Valverde is more of an 8, Bentancur is more of a 6. And Ficino is the holding midfielder, the regista, if you can say. And he is this. But for me, Ficino is not the type of player that can do this role. Ficino is a box to box. He's energetic. He has had great stamina. He can sometimes get into the box and be dangerous. He doesn't score a lot, but he can make something happen sometimes with his height. It's really tall, and he's really good at, well, covering the pitch, because he's strong, he's quick, and like I said, he's a great stamina. But when you ask someone to control the game and to also control the midfield defensively, this is certainly important in big games like against Argentina, then he's not good enough for me. And Lucas Torreira and Mauro Anambari are. They are made for this role. They are really composed and calm in possession. They can handle the transition from defense to attack really well, in my opinion. But also, they are really good defensively. They are small, diminutive players who are aggressive, tactical, all right. They cut out passing lanes. They are good in the interception. Um, yeah, and for me, they are perfect when you are playing um, three midfielders, which I think we might be playing four, but three could also be the case. When you're playing two advanced midfielders, and then behind you play a sitting midfielder, holding midfielder, and Lucas Torreira and Mauro Anambari for this position, they are perfect. So this is my opinion. Will it matter? No, because I think Vecino will play. Um, so then moving on to the defense, because defensively we have been shocking. We have been shipping loads of goals, 4 against Brazil, 3 against Argentina, and to be honest, against Brazil it could have been 7. Honestly, Brazil and also Argentina, they were not even playing at full strength. They were playing maybe 60, 70% of their full potential. And the first decision that we should make, and probably should have made a long time before, is Diego Godin to the bench. And it might sound harsh because he's our captain and he has done so many great things for Uruguay, but you don't have to be fooled, or you should not be fooled by what the history, the emotional connection with players. And I have this a lot myself as well, because I love Suarez. But Suarez, for some moments, not at this moment, because I think Suarez is living a good moment, but for a lot of moments in the last 2 years, I think Suarez, well, maybe we should give the chance to this player. Although I love Suarez, Suarez is my favorite player of all time. But I have to be realistic. I think what is the best for Uruguay in the national team. So Godin, although he's been brilliant, he has been part of the worst defense in Serie A, Cagliari. He's been, well, not good enough in his last probably 2 years for the Uruguay national team. And then you also have to look at what is behind him. And Sebastian Coates, he's now injured, but he has been amazing in the last 18 months for Sporting. Then you have Araujo, a promising upcoming defender who's been, well, really good for Barcelona. And you can talk about the game against Ecuador in Quito, but yeah, it was his first game and he was playing in a team which was lost. Nobody was playing well, so I do not hold him accountable for this. And then also Jimenez, who always plays, of course. But Jimenez for me is a starter, and next to him I would play Araujo in this case because Coates is injured. But I would play Araujo instead of Godin. Let me know your opinion about this. If you agree, if you have some different opinion about it, because I mean, this is just my opinion. Not saying it's right. It's just an opinion. So please let me know what your feeling is. Okay, then right back. Naita Hernandez has been doing well in this position for the last, I think, year for Uruguay. But in the games against Argentina and the game against Brazil, we really saw when he comes up against a true winger, and also against Colombia when he was against some Colombian wingers. When he comes up against a true winger, he is. You see, he is not a natural right back because he's a midfielder basically. We all know this. He started off as a midfielder for Peñarol to Boca Juniors, and then he came to Cagliari. And in Cagliari, he plays in a three man midfield in the first time, which was at the right of the midfield. So he covered a lot of the spaces of a wing back. And eventually, Cagliari changed their system. They went to a 3-5-2 a lot of the times, and he was playing as right wing back. Sometimes he plays right midfield, sometimes midfield, but he plays a lot as right wing back. And for Uruguay, because Tabares in some way has this idea that Damian Suarez is not good enough, Knight Hernandez was the right back. So now Tabares has suddenly realized that Damian Suarez is the best Uruguayan right back in world football and has been for the last 5 years. Damian Suarez finally is in the squad. And for me, he should be playing simply because he's the best right back we have. It's not rocket science. I mean, I'm not I'm not tactical genius or whatever, but I watch a lot of football. I love football, and I can see when a player is better than the other player, or when the player is more suited to a certain position than the other player. And Damian Suarez is the best right back Uruguay have at this moment and have had for the last 5 years. The fact that it's taken so long for Tabares to acknowledge this really frustrates me. But leaving that aside, Damian should play for me against Argentina and also against Bolivia because he is our best right back. So yeah, okay. Then left back Piqueres for me, I think it's obvious. I would have liked to see Espino, Olaza, Oliveira, players like this get that chance. They have been doing so well in Spain over the last 2-3 years. Olaza, okay, he's going to the Segunda now. He's playing for Valladolid in the Segunda Division, but still, for all he's done in the last few years, he should have been getting a call up. He should be getting a call up, a chance. This is not happening. Caceres has been called up once again for being, well, good looking, I think, because I don't really see another option. Maybe, yeah, this is the only reason. I mean, I love Caceres for the player he has been, and I think his character is really good. He's a funny guy. But when you look at purely on the footballing side of this, he should not be in the squad anymore. But yeah, it's the way it is. So for me, the left back, Fina is injured, and the second choice is Piqueres, so he should play in my opinion. So then we have Piqueres, Araujo, Jimenez, Damian Suarez, Torreira, Bentancur, and I would go with Naita Hernandez in midfield, which is more of his natural position. Um, my only choice is now: will we play with a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2 or maybe a diamond in midfield? So on Twitter, I posted a lineup. I will go a little bit differently right now. So my decision would be Brian on the right, Brian Rodriguez, and to the left, I'm still not really decided. Um, I would play Facundo Torres, maybe switch Brian and Facundo around, and then in the top at the number 9, Luis Suarez. You can also play. Um, you can also play, which is the lineup I put up on Twitter, is Brian on the right, or Brian on the left. I'm sorry, Nathan Anders on the right, and Bentancur and Torreira as a doble cinco, and then Suarez and Augusto Alvarez Martinez as the striking option, as the number 9 partnership. Um, so yeah, this is a 4-4-2. You can also change it to a diamond, but these are a lot of options which I would consider. Would Tabres consider it? I don't know. So, but yeah, that is we will see. And finally, as the goalkeeper, I mean, I pick Muslera. In my opinion, I think Campagna should have got a chance in the last few years. Um, and if he didn't get a chance, he should be getting it now because Muslera is just not at the level. He's not good. He's not. He's in a really bad moment for himself. But the fact why I'm not even saying this is because even if Muslera drops in training and has to have his left hand amputated, you know, plays with only one hand, Tabas would put him in goal. Um, that's just reality. His loyalty to Muslera, to Godin, players like this is unconditional. And it's frustrating sometimes, but it's the way it is. Okay, let's get into some comments, and then I will probably go offline because yeah, we've been going on for a long time, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, but I also have to get some sleep. It's a bit later where I live, and I have to do some stuff for school as well, which is a pain in the ass to be honest. But okay. Um, Migusta Gaming says Tabares best coach not to win the World Cup for Uruguay. Well, I don't know. The thing is with like this, and not only this question, but when you talk about, for example, the best player of all time, or the best goalkeeper of all time, or the best Uruguayan football player of all time, I'm always a little bit uncomfortable to ask to give an answer because I'm 25 years of age. So how can I discuss, or how can I make a decision or make a judgment on 120 years of football, or maybe even more, while I didn't even watch 100 years of it. So I cannot really give a fair judgment um, to coaches or players of the past. Okay, I can watch something back, but it's different to watching them week in, week out. Yeah, okay. Migusta Gaming says Arambari gets the edge because of his shot, but I'd like him and Torreira with Bentancur. Yeah, I would give Torreira the edge, because I think Torreira. I've watched a lot of games in Fiorentina this season because I like Torreira a lot. One of my favorite players, and I'm happy to see him play and be happy as well. And he is happy and playing again for Fiorentina, and he's been doing really well. I mean, and Arambadi, although I think he's been really good in this last 2 or 3 years for Getafe, Getafe are really struggling at this moment. And Arambadi is not playing his best football. I would still give him a chance and give him minutes, and certainly call him up all the time, which Tavares doesn't do. But I would pick Torreira ahead of him and in the holding midfield role. Okay, Mustafa Piri says, I'm worried about standards. Or standard situation, you mean? Because you say Muslera has no area control. He's a beast on the line, though. Yeah, so you're saying I'm worried about standard situations. What I'm worried about is not particularly this. I'm worried about Muslera when sometimes he just switches off. He switches off. Because, like you say, he is a beast on the line. He can be really a beast on the line, and we saw it against Brazil and against Argentina, where he saved goal after goal. But for me, when you in the same game where you where you concede a really silly goal, it doesn't really make it up for me. So for me, my biggest concern with Muslera is that he sometimes switches off and has this moment of madness where he just well concedes a blunder. Um, Me gusta gaming says Suarez, Jimenez, Arajo, and Picares as backline or bust. I agree. I think this is the best way to go. Um, Danny F says, with the players Uruguay have, if I was Uruguay manager, we would win the World Cup. Well, I think we have a squad that can challenge in a World Cup. We can go far in a World Cup because we have a team and a squad good enough to be competitive, and certainly we have a team good enough to go into the final or the semifinals of the Copa America, which is my biggest concern and my biggest dis- just disappointment. The fact that we have not been able even to go for another Copa with this generation. So yeah. Kent Johnson, hi, good to see you here, mate. I'm getting on just now. The Friday game is not looking great. If he doesn't start Torreira and taps Fagino again, my God. Yeah, I mean, it's my fear as well. I was already reading today some article by Ovation talking about the possible lineup, and it included Fagino and Torreira, which is better, obviously, but still, I don't think Fagino should be playing. Nicolas Fernandez Vidal finally got there. Good to have you here. Um, we've been going on for a while, but it's okay, right? By the way, everybody who's watching the video and getting involved with the comments, first of all, thank you a lot. Thanks a lot. I really enjoyed to be with you here right now. And if you want, you can subscribe to the channel and also like the video. Yeah, I would really appreciate it. Migusta Gaming says you should have seen a goal Muslera gave up in the Europa League this past week. I saw the goal. Yeah, talking about Fernando Muslera conceding the goal uh, in the Europa League. But another thing springs to my mind. It's in a game against Besiktas. It's like 2 weeks ago, and there was a high ball, and he also, like you said before, The aerial control of him is not great sometimes, and he just let the ball slip, and it was a goal for Besiktas, a big game and a big mistake, and we cannot have this at this moment. Ken Johnson says, also, what is the story with Nico Lopez? How is it possible he hasn't been called up? Does he have to wait until he's 32 like Damian Suarez? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing as well, you know. And Damian Suarez, like you say, he is now being called up, but we should have been calling him up for a long time because he has been playing regularly in La Liga at a good level. Um, and with Nico Lopez right now, I mean, he had a really good period for Internacional. I believe he should have been getting a call up then. I see he just deserved a chance. And right now, when you look at the current squad, and this is the way I would look at it, you have Jonathan Rodriguez right there in the national team. And I like Jonathan Rodriguez. I think he has not been amazing when he's being substituted on, but for me it's a hard job to be a striker behind Suarez and Cavani because you always know they will play. You have to make the most out of just little, a little out of a little minutes. But Jonathan Rodriguez had a really good moment. He was the top scorer last season in the Mexican League. And he deserved to be on there. He deserved to be in the squad. But at this moment, he scored only 2 or 3 goals in like 15 games. So he is not in a great form. Then on the other side, you have Nico Lopez. He is the top scorer of the Mexican League at this moment. He has scored 9 goals in 13 games, and yeah, he scored a brilliant goal on the weekend from basically 40 meters out. And then he does not get a call up while he has been the star in Mexico, and Jonathan Rodriguez in the same league has been not in great form. That just does not make sense. And it only gives us one conclusion. These players are not being picked on their performances sometimes, but just for the fact they have been there before and the manager wants to be loyal to them. And he's not looking really at who is being the best player at this moment in time, who's been performing the best in their clubs, which is always the way it should be. You should not pick players because you like them and because they've been there for 5 years, but for the 5 years they've been there, they have not been really doing amazingly for their clubs. You should be looking at that, at the player at the clubs. How are they doing? Are they developing? Are they performing well? This is the way. This is the way a player should be judged, and this is the reason a player should be called up or not be called up. But yeah, for Nico Lopez, like you say, Kent, it's really frustrating because I mean, for me, Nico Lopez will not change our problems because this is not the issue. The players are not the problems. We have players are good enough. The current squad is good enough to get good results, play some good football. So the manager for me is responsible for this. But when you look just at the personal perspective from Nico Lopez, is that he's been doing so well in the certainly last year, and he's been not getting a chance. And that's just really sad for him because for every Uruguayan, for every player, footballer, it's a pride, a dream to represent your country. And then in his case, you are not getting called up, not because you're not good enough, but just because the manager does not like you or maybe has some loyalty to other players who are not really playing well. It's really weird. Um, Nicolas Hernandez Vidal says, yeah, I agree. Tavares is great, but Torreira deserves it to play against Argentina, I think you mean. About Muslera, he's a fantastic goalkeeper, but sometimes he'll, as you said, switch off and concede ridiculous goals. Yeah, that's the thing, you know. And Muslera has had this whole his career, you know. I mean, we can all talk about this game against France when he had this blunder. I will have a sip of water, by the way. We can all talk about this, and I backed him. You know, when this happened, I supported him, and I remember tweeting about him and saying, "Well, you will get back. We were all with you." And also because the situation was that he lost a family member like 2 days before, so I will always stick up for the players and from the team I support in this moment. But when you look at his whole career for Uruguay, he has been he's had some amazing games, but he's also had a lot of mistakes. You know, it's not like he is 22 or 23 and he's making mistakes and then he is developing, and he's cutting these mistakes out of his game. No, in his whole career, from the moment he debuted to right now, he's had these mistakes, and we can all see and appreciate the career he has had because he's had a great career. That's right, you know, that's the way it is. He has had a great career. For Galatasaray, he's a legend. Won a lot of league titles for Uruguay. A lot of great games. won the Copa, was important in this Copa. So that's the case. But when we have to look at the whole career, you also have to be realistic and see it how it is. And it's not always been great. Um, Nicolas Hernandez Vidal says, also one last question: what happened with Cavani? So Cavani, he before the season he had, like he said yesterday, he had some problems with his agil. I think it's posterior tendon. I'm not sure. I think it's like the lowest part of your foot and then the hamstring. So he had a problem with this. Then he missed the start of the season for United. He came back, and recently he's been having the same problem again. Like, after the game against Tottenham Hotspur, where United won 3-0 and he scored, he had the same problem again. And then he was benched against Atalanta, and he came on against Atalanta, and basically it was back again, and he had so much discomfort that he dropped out of the Uruguay squad, and he decided to go to Madrid. He's going to Madrid this week, and to have recovery and to solve this problem. So in the long run, it's a good thing, but obviously in the short term, a player like Cavani, we will miss this, and it's a really big blow. Okay. Danny F says Diego Rossi and Nico Lopez should be in the squad, not guys like Brian Rodriguez. Yeah, I mean I like Brian a lot. I think Brian Rodriguez is a player who can be a star for Uruguay, even though he's not been having his greatest moment than last year. But I still think there's a lot of potential to it. But like I said before, if you are purely talking and judging on the way the players have been playing for their clubs, then yeah, you are right. Diego Rossi and Nico Lopez should be in the squad ahead of Brian Rodriguez because they have been stars for their clubs, and Brian has not been. Ken Johnson says, yes, that's it, exactly. And it's because that is the selection dynamic, loyalty and not merit. Yeah, merit, that's the word I was looking for. I was trying to find it, but merit is the word I was looking for as well because the players not really being picked on merit. It's more on loyalty, like you say. So yeah, that's the way it is. But we cannot change it. Obviously, it's the way it is, and it will probably be this way until Tabares retires. But that is not the discussion of today. The discussion of today is we have been looking forward to the games, talking a little bit about the past, but mainly looking forward to the games, which will be two big games: Argentina at home, Bolivia away. Historically, difficult games in Tabares' tenure. Also historically, just in Uruguay's history entirely. But we have to see a response from the team. Um, we can all talk about the situation with Tabares, but at the end of the day, when the whistle blows, you have 90 minutes, and these players have to give it everything and get the result for us, for the fans, for themselves as well, because every player wants to be in the World Cup, and Uruguay belong in the World Cup. Four-time world champion, the winner of the first World Cup, and Uruguay belong there. So I'm confident we will be in the World Cup, but these upcoming two games will be hard. But okay, I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you all for the comments. I will be with you, or hopefully you will be there as well. But I will be live streaming once again very soon this week, talking about the game, talking about the news, how we will line up possibly, and hopefully we can enjoy some good moments after a lot of bad moments last month. So yeah, hopefully we can do this. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day or evening, depending on where you live. And thank you all for being here. Bye bye.